was a fantastic 10-day stay at Maabwe Bay. It felt like 4 days actually. It was really great. The fishing was fantastic. The hosts were absolutely awesome. Thanks again to Margot, Richard, Chris, Simon, Netsai, Neva, everyone that made our stay a really awesome stay. Bit of a rain delay, but we are now on our way out of Maabwe Bay. We first have to go and get a PCR, actually rapid antigen test at the clinic close by, which is about 5 kilometers drive from Maabwe Bay. Hopefully that's negative for the both of us. And then we will drive on to Binga, where we're going to do some refueling, maybe get some supplies, and from there it's up the escarpment to Chizarira.
This thing is not painful, but it's boring. Okay? Just,
Hello, how are you?
Quintessential rapid antigen test. It's not painful. It's boring. It's boring. It's boring. Relax. Relax. It's boring. It's not painful. COVID test done, and now we're on our way to Binga. So right now we're driving through Simatelele district, or rather rural area. And we're heading to Binga, which is the main town or CBD in the Binga district municipality. And yeah, we're going to get some fuel there, I hope, and a couple of supplies. So this is pretty cool, man. This is really a very rural part of Zimbabwe. I've never been here. The baobab trees are amazing. It was quite interesting to do the COVID test at the local clinic here as well. Never had that sort of experience. A fantastic nurse. So it's all gone pretty well so far. He's issued me with a handwritten certificate to show that I've had the COVID test. And it's actually interesting being inside that clinic. You know, they're recording stuff. They've got malaria statistics. It's all handwritten on graph paper. You know, really original, you know, old school handwriting, handwritten, manually done stuff, but it's being done. So yeah, pretty cool, man. This is quite a unique experience for me. So far the roads are not bad. It's dirt road. There are concrete bridges over significant waterways or streams, rivers, whatever you want to call them. But the gravel roads pretty much in decent condition. We've had much worse gravel roads in South Africa and in Namibia. So it's actually going pretty well. There's quite a bit of settlement along the sides of the road as well. Very rural settlement, huts and villages with livestock. This area is fairly dry and sandy, so not much in the way of cultivation. But so far pretty good, man. We've had no incidents yet. It's been pretty smooth going.
They're a take ticket.
Well, drove into Binga, the bustling metropolis of Binga. Unfortunately, fortunately there is diesel at the two garages that are there, the two fuel stations that are there. However, there's no electricity. So we couldn't wait for the electricity to come back on. and we've decided that we're going to drive on to Chizarira because we don't want to get there too late and find the national park's offices closed. So it was a bit of a sidetrack. The road's actually terrible. In many places it's a single lane, a very potholed single lane. So you've got to kind of give way to oncoming traffic and you share the road. And if you're overtaking, you've got to share the road as well. So it's actually not a great road. Anyway, so unless you absolutely have to, there's no reason to go to Binga. We went to get some drinks and stuff as well, but walked into the big store there and they didn't have much to offer. Certainly they had no, bottled drinks, Coke, that sort of thing. So yeah, that was a fail as well, unfortunately. So we're on the final stretch to Chizarira. The road here, after you turn off the main unpaved road, is a narrow track. Obviously hasn't been maintained over the years. It's quite clear that there isn't a lot of vehicle activity on that road. So heading into Chizarira, we think we're almost to the offices, but there's no real information, so it's difficult to tell how far we are from the offices. Apparently the campsites have very little in respect of facilities. If we're lucky, just a long drop. If we're unlucky, then maybe not. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting part of the trip. We don't know how long we're going to stay here. Initially we wanted to stay 2 nights, or 3 nights rather, but things have changed, of course, with the 10-day quarantine and so on. And in addition to that, the advice is that we rather spend the extra nights at Matusadona. So we still want to see Chizarira. It's a really remote national park, the 3rd largest in Zim, and so we're really keen to see it. We're really keen to see Muchini Gorge as well. At this point, like I say, we're kind of playing it by ear, and we'll make decisions as we go and as we get here. So that's quite different from our usual travel plans, where my significant other plans everything to the absolute T, which is fantastic. It works really well.
Couldn't do that this time.
Anyway, that kind of planning is kind of impossible right now with COVID quarantine, and trying to get a hold of Zimparks quite difficult as well. And so a lot of things have changed, and we're having to kind of do things on the go, on the fly, which is also pretty cool.
The terrain in the park is craggy, punctuated with ragged mountains, intensely incised but gorgeous, and awesome gulches.
So we've just gone through the boom gate, and now we've got to head through to the office. It's 5 minutes to 4 in the afternoon. Apparently they close at 5 o'clock, so we've got a decent amount of time to get to the office, but obviously then we've got to head quite quickly to our campsite so we can kind of in daylight sort things out. But yeah, quite stoked to be inside Chizarira National Park. First time. And so far it's really beautiful. It's beautiful cliff faces. The bush is green and lush. It's really beautiful so far.
Look, bruh. There's a bench, there's a bride. I thought they would be informal.
So just arrived at Muchini Gorge campsite, and it's completely different to what we expected. Our information is definitely outdated. The campsite's really nice. There's running water There is a proper shower and flush toilet. There's a thatched lapa. There's a braai stand. There's firewood cut, stacked, waiting for us. There's a seating area. There's a beautiful view of the gorge as well. But insofar as the facilities are concerned, it is really nice. It was quite a nice drive up here, and we just arrived now at Muchini Gorge, where we're going to camp for the night. I must say it was easy. It was easy. We drove up to the boom. The road's a little bit old, like I've mentioned, but it's not impossible. And once we were through the boom, which is a fairly easy process, we drove up to the office. Guys there are on the ball. We checked in fairly quickly. We're the only people in the park, apparently. We are the only tourists in the park right now. This is a consequence, obviously, of the COVID restrictions and Zimbabwe being on the red zone and all that because of the Omicron virus variant and all that sort of stuff. So they're happy people. We had a quick look at the visitor book. Relatively sparse, but there were some visitors in November. But right now we are the only ones in the park, so we can pick and choose wherever we want to camp. The views are magnificent. I'm really looking forward to driving around tomorrow. So there's no electricity and no hot water, but what we're expecting was just a long drop. This is a whole lot better. So it's quite late now. The sun's pretty much set, so it's getting a bit dim. We are going to set up camp quickly, get some fire going, get a braai going, get some food going, and we'll see what the park has to offer tomorrow. Not sure how long we're going to stay here. We're kind of winging it at this stage, so we'll kind of see how it goes and how much there is to see, and we'll make decisions from there. So it's been raining incessantly for the last 2 hours or so. Looks like our intents to wake up to this beautiful view at Muchini Gorge have been somewhat scuppered, and this might make our driving around the park and wildlifing also somewhat impossible. So this is day one at Chizarira, and we may just end up spending most of day one inside the tent. The rain has finally stopped, so we can get out and start exploring Chizarira. This is supposedly the third largest national park in Zimbabwe. It's about 2,000 square kilometers, and it is definitely the most remote national park. Now apparently there are 4 of the big 5 here, so there are elephant, lion, leopard and buffalo. There were rhino and I think a significant amount of black rhino, but unfortunately the word is that those have been poached to the point where if there are any left, they are very, very few, you know, potentially single digits. So yeah, it's remote. It's really beautiful. You know, as you're driving here, you get the feeling that it's quite unspoilt. As we're driving on the road now, we can hardly see any evidence of other car tracks. So yeah, this is not a place that's visited frequently. The roads are pretty okay, although they are narrow and eroded in some places. There are a few sections that are quite bumpy. You do need clearance, and in the rainy season like now, I definitely recommend a 4-wheel drive. We're not seeing a lot of animals. Now we did hear lions last night, but the bush is really thick. So far all we've seen is a bit of kudu and impala. They're very skittish. As soon as they see the car, they're off into the bush. Basically, we've driven and driven and driven and driven, and we haven't seen much in the form of large wildlife. After a day of very few animals and lots of driving, we've turned in quite early, and it's about midnight now, and there is a proper tropical thunderstorm going on outside. Hopefully, we'll wake up to clear skies. If you thought yesterday's morning rain was bad, then this morning is several times worse. The river in the gorge has turned into a muddy torrent. It's quite a rainy day today. It's our last day in Chizarira, unfortunately. So I think this is pretty much going to be it. This has been our experience of Chizarira. Still glad that we managed to make it up here. It is a beautiful place. Disappointed with the animals. However, I guess that's how it goes sometimes. And from here, it's on to Matusadona.